Hey everybody, it's Monday, May 18th. This is Ryan Ferns from the West Virginia State Senate, and I'm just checking in again for a legislative update. Obviously, the legislative session is complete for the year, but as I posted on my Facebook page previously, I've been chosen for the Select Committee on Tax Reform. So our state legislature is attempting to tackle tax reform, something I think has been necessary in our state for quite a while now. We have a tax code that was basically established in the 1920s, and since then have just done piecemeal changes to our tax code. And so for years we've had governors and legislatures talk about comprehensive tax reform, and it's never really been completed. Under the Governor Underwood administration, there was a major effort, and not just wasn't quite completed. And again, under Governor Manchin, had the tax modernization project. A lot of similar findings, some of which were implemented, some were not. And so we're taking this opportunity in between our regular sessions to spend a little bit of time focused specifically on this one major issue. And so we've now had 3 meetings. That committee is made up of 7 members of the Senate, 7 from the House, chosen by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House. And we've had 3 meetings. The first was on April 13th, and it was really just an organizational meeting, forming committee members, what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be working on, and kind of how we're going to proceed. And I think the end goal is, once we get through all the background information, all the studies, all the national and local tax experts, is to work on actual legislation. And I think it's the goal, at least of our Senate President, to call on the governor for a special session, because this is going to be a huge undertaking and something that could consume an entire regular session if it were attempted to be tackled during a regular session. So our goal is to have a special session in order for all of our focus to be on this one very important subject. So as I mentioned, April 13th we had an organizational meeting. Then our first real meeting was May 4th, and it was very much a history lesson for all of us legislators on the committee. It went back clear to the 1800s. We talked about all the changes past all the way up to current, and why different legislatures, why different governors' administrations worked for certain changes, and it really depends a lot on the type of economy of those different time periods. So we started out with Mark Mukow as Deputy Secretary of the West Virginia Department of Revenue. Been around for a long time, has been here present within our state government for a lot of the changes that have occurred, as well as Mark Morton, who's the General Counsel for the West Virginia State Tax Division. And those guys just talked about exactly how our tax code works today, and how we got to where we're at today. And then we had a review of Governor Underwood's Commission on Fair Taxation and Governor Manchin's Tax Modernization Project. Some tax experts here in West Virginia, Dr. Cal Kent from Marshall University, Mike Carl, and Kent Sowards. All 3, I believe, were part of the commissions under both of those 2 governors' administrations, and did a lot of the legwork, a lot of the research back then. And then we had as I mentioned, a historical review of the studies of state taxes. Again, this was done by Mark Mukow from the Department of Revenue. And so that first meeting was really a major history lesson, just updating and informing all of us, from beginning to end, so that we have a good understanding of how we got to where we're at today. Then today's meeting started out with an academic panel from experts from WVU and Marshall. We had Dr. Zito Sartorelli who's the Dean of the College of Business Economics at WVU. And they talked about a number of issues, just their specific areas of expertise. We had an overview of state tax issues by the Tax Foundation, which is a national organization, national nonprofit. It was very informative. Looked a lot at our state in comparison to others, and really just all the different tax reform efforts by states around the country that have been done in recent history. Then this afternoon we had someone from the Council on State Taxation, and they provide perspectives on the West Virginia state tax structure and possible reform efforts. And each of those, after they gave their overview, kind of gave suggestions specifically on West Virginia, what they thought would help us improve, all the meanwhile still enabling us to balance our budget. And then our final speaker of the day was from the NCSL, the National Conference on State Legislators. Her name is Mary Rafool, and she talked about trends and tax reform efforts, again, in other states. So first meeting, history and overview. Today, more so comparison of states around the country. And one thing that I was learning today, a lot of the problems that we're experiencing here in West Virginia aren't just in West Virginia. When we talk about the major deterioration of roads and infrastructure here in West Virginia, we're finding out that that's actually occurring all over the country. Many states had revenue sources set up for those roads very similar to what we do and are seeing the same revenue pitfalls that we are now seeing, and many of them are underfunded in the same way that we are. Also, many states are seeing the decreasing revenue from sales tax as economies shift from goods to services, which is something, again, happening all over the country, not just here in West Virginia. And but one very positive thing is that I'm starting to notice, even just in these two meetings that we've had, a lot of suggestions from the different tax experts, both here within our state and on the national level, are starting to begin to make some of the similar suggestions. And so you can, even at this very early stage, you can start to see a direction potentially that we're going to go in. So I'll continue to keep you all updated. I'm also going to post a link here under this video that'll provide all the materials that have been provided to me, as well as the other committee members from all of our different speakers and experts. You can view all of those online on our website, and I'll provide that link. So I'll stay in touch, and please keep the questions coming. Thank you.